Hello and welcome everyone to CDU's magazine series of one-on-one interviews with CDU's data leaders and key influencers. I'm your host, Robert Lutton, Vice President Sandhill Consultants, and I'm coming to you today from Toronto, Canada, working with the CDU magazine. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing Robin Sutara, who is the Field Chief Data Strategy Officer at Databricks. Welcome, Robin.
Thank you, Robert. So lovely to be here.
It is always our pleasure. Now, I know Databricks, but some of our clients may have heard of Databricks and they may sort of, in order to level set, I'm wondering if you can give a brief introduction of what Databricks is all about, just to level set our audience, if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. So Databricks is a 11-year-old company, originally founded by the creators of Spark, so five PhDs out of UC Berkeley. Since then, we've done a little bit of an evolution. Today, what we primarily solve for most organizations is how to break down data silos across their structured, unstructured data sets that allow them to do AI and BI against the same data without having to copy and move it. And so we have lots of phenomenal innovation that we have done via acquisition and some of the phenomenal work of disruption within our own organization to really think about how do you create an intelligent data platform or the data intelligence platform that really allows organizations to not only create their own AI, but how are we integrating AI into the platform to help organizations drive costs down, be more operationally efficient, and sort of all of the value that comes from that.
Quite succinct, and Databricks is making a name for itself in the industry and has been since those 11 years since it was first launched. So if we can start, I've got a couple of two-part questions just to get our audience a little bit more familiar with Databricks and what's happening in the world of the platform that you have, the wonderful platform that you've created. So first question is, how do you see the future of data and AI, as you mentioned, and how does Databricks position itself for the forefront of this transformation?
Yeah, I don't think we could do any interview or attend any event these days without talking about AI, could we?
Yeah.
I think every business is thinking about AI, the impact it can have on their organization. But I think most of them are still struggling with how do they actually execute against those AI strategies? How do they actually unlock the power of their data? And for many of them, that comes back down to the fundamentals, like how do they get their data in order to be able to take advantage of the technical advances that have happened over the last couple of years around AI. As I mentioned in the opening, that's really where we think the data intelligence platform can make a difference. It allows you to democratize access to data and AI. How do we stop having your structured data in a warehouse and your unstructured data in a lake and your AI systems separate from that and your governance systems even more separate than that? And so how we think about it is really how do you tie all those things together so that you have the capability to sort of do that? Because most organizations are realizing like, yes, they want to use AI once they have the data in place to be able to execute against that. It's not simple one model solutions that they're coming up with. For most of them, it really is these compound, complex, agentic AI systems that they're starting to put together. And so how do you do that in a way that allows organizations right, that allows your organization, depending on their maturity and where they are, to be able to take advantage of the intellectual property that is your data that no one else has, right? And I think that's where we really think about those proprietary models that exist across the ecosystem that everybody has access to, and then the smaller type of agentic models that you'll build within your organization. Can your platform support all of that? Whether it's using that structured data or the unstructured data around data science. And we really think about what are the partnerships that we can create across our organization in the platform that are going to help companies do that. So like our recent announcement with the partnership with SAP, for example, I don't think there's any customer that I've worked with, I'm sure you're the same, that doesn't have some level of SAP
Sure.
within their environment. environment, and it has such a valuable data set. It's really specific to every organization. And so now to be able to leverage Databricks to unlock the power of your SAP data and insights, and be able to integrate it into your AI, into your BI in a whole new revolutionary way. I think we continue to think about, how do we position ourselves and disrupt ourselves to be able to help deliver against that type of value that we think organizations are really going to need as they look to the future.
You mentioned several things, obviously structured data and unstructured data coming together, and obviously the AI and BI. I wonder if, from your point of view, why such a unified approach to data management, data analytics is crucial for the enterprise, and how does the platform simplify data management from your perspective?
Yeah, I think everybody, I have yet to work with any organization that's completely homogeneous, right?
Right.
Like that you have no legacy, that you have no on-prem, that you have nothing that you're trying to migrate or modernize. And so I think for us, I mean, even with the creation of the Lake House, which was the origination sort of Databricks, we went from Spark, right, to the Lake House to now the
Yep.
Data Intelligence Platform. For us, it's always been about how do we help you eliminate those data silos? How do we help you break down the barriers that exist between those? Because we know that it's currently a fragmented system, and for most organizations, it's not even just like one warehouse, right? It's multiple
Right.
warehouses. It's
Yeah.
not just one lake; it's multiple lakes. You introduce things like mergers and acquisitions and divestitures and all sorts of other things. It just leads to more complexity for most organizations. And so we really want to think about how do we create a platform that allows you to create that single source of truth that helps you break down those silos across the organization. Because if you can break down those silos, you're going to accelerate your AI. You're going to accelerate that value out of the data and the insights that you're looking to do, and you're going to reduce costs. The more that you can simplify your platform, the more we think that
Sure.
you can reduce the time to insight, reduce the time to innovation, reduce the time to value, while driving your savings and cost efficiencies across the organization.
And it's great to see and hear that Databricks is achieving that with customers. You've mentioned a couple of times, in today's environment, it's so uh, is surreal to realize that within 9 months, the past 9 months, that this AI adoption has just exploded in our on our platform and our environment. So with the adoption of AI growing, we have to be obviously somewhat careful that governance and data governance should be consumed or should be considered as part of the overall process. Can you maybe give us some understanding of how data governance plays in the Databricks environment, and how does it support maybe some of the best practices out there?
Yeah, I think for us, we definitely think about governance being fundamental to any platform, right? It can't be a separate ecosystem.
Right.
And so when you think about the Databricks Data Intelligence Platform, we have Unity Catalog, which is essentially our governance foundational layer, and it is essentially a horizontal, covers the entire platform, everything from your warehousing data through to your unstructured data and your AI and BI, because interestingly, for most governance systems, they cover one aspect of that. They
Right.
typically either catalog against your tables and assets, but they don't do that plus your AI things like models, notebooks, et cetera. And so we think for most organizations, as you're trying to solve things like AI governance, particularly because there's a little bit of uncertainty still around
Mm.
legislative requirements, regulatory
Right.
requirements. We've seen the EU AI Act. We don't know what that's going to look like in the US yet, right? But lots of US states are starting to pass their own legislation that companies need to comply with, and organizations are trying to figure out, how do I do that end-to-end lineage? How do I know what data sets were used, what models they were fed into, what were the weightings and the algorithms that went behind those models, and now what data products and services are they feeding, right? Are those then feeding into? And so how we think about it is your governance layer has to be able to handle all of those aspects against
Right.
them. And so you need to be able to identify not just data, but also the AI that the data is being used on, particularly because you have to have that transparency, you have to have that explainability. And so your governance layer needs to be able to support that. And for us, that means it has to be integrated into the platform. It has to be able to support you and being able to meet those needs that your consumers, that your patients, that your citizens, et cetera, will have as an expectation on how you're using their data and what it's feeding into.
A wonderful world that you're creating for your customers out there. Appreciate your time today.
No, thank you so much, Robert. Super exciting to share some of the phenomenal innovation I think that we're doing, but also some of the great innovation that our customers are leveraging our platform with. So thank you so much for the opportunity to share with you.
You're welcome. And for our listeners, please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thank you.